Tony and Ziva are going to the big house. But escaping the big house, not as easy as it looks. Tony and Ziva, Season 1, Episode 5, titled To Be Determined. I'm gonna say it, this probably wasn't my favorite episode. This was not my favorite episode so far. It was good, but not an episode I like the most so far. I think it's just kinda, yeah. It's okay. It's okay. But that's like the best I can give it. It's just okay. So, like, yeah. I wish I had a lot of things to... I have some things to say. But, yeah. This was... I don't know. I don't think... Yeah. I thought I was going to have a lot of things to start off beginning this, and I'm just kind of, like, blanking off, because I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I have things written down here on a doc that I should probably talk about. But, yeah. So, in this episode, this follows after the events of the last episode. So yes, Gallimard is still alive. We don't see Gallimard in this episode, however. He's not apparent in this episode, and I wasn't kind of expecting him to, honestly. But maybe next time. Maybe next episode we'll see him. But in this episode, it follows the events after the last episode, where Tony and Ziva did the undercover wedding operation after Boris and Fruji got married. And in this episode, they're now trying to plan to break out Jonah something. I forgot his last name. Hold on. Tony and Ziva. Jonah something. Hold on. His last name. I forgot the character's last name. Really? No cast members? There we go. But Jonah, the Henry's boss. Oh. I just wanted to have the last name. Okay, Jonah. Google doesn't like me. But they had to get Jonah out of the Supermax Prison in Graz, Austria, or Graz, Australia. I don't know. However you pronounce it. So they had to break Jonah out of the Supermax Prison. Jonah. Sorry. The actor's name is Julian Ovenden, and he's playing Jonah. So I'm getting Julian and Jonah mixed up, because I'm looking at it now, and it says the actor is Julian Ovenden, so I keep wanting to say the character's name is Julian, when it's Jonah. J's fuck me up. Okay. So, they're trying to go to, they're trying to break Jonah out of the Supermax Prison in Graz, Austria. So how they do that is, no joke, Tony, Ziva, Fruji, and Boris, and Claudette, all of them, they plan to steal Martin's plane to go to Graz. So, and in the Supermax Prison, for some reason, Jonah is tagged under the name Oscar Zagreb. And so they're trying to find Oscar Zagreb. But also, they're trying to find Oscar Zagreb, aka Jonah. And what they want to do is they want to try and use the 9.4 chip to get into the prison security, so that way they can get into it, the prison. Wow, sorry. It's early morning for me, so, and that's pretty much the whole point of this episode. In fact, to me, this whole episode really does remind me of, like, the last one. Remember when I said in the last episode that where the last episode mainly took place at the church where Boris and Fruji were getting married, as well as when they were doing the undercover op? That's sort of the same thing here in this episode. This episode mostly takes place in the Supermax Prison. And that besides the flashback sequence that happens in this episode, which I'm going to touch on that as well. But so there's that, and I think, and it's weird because there's some episodes of shows or whatnot, particular episodes of shows, where for me you can definitely take place in an episode in only one location. It just needs to be smart. It needs to be shown through. It really needs to be put together really well. And I set an example in the last episode where I said the season 2 touch episode, Ghosts, really does that effectively. It keeps the tension going. It keeps everything that you want in an episode like that touch episode interesting, and like your heart is pounding. Sort of the same thing with Wedding Crashers, the last episode of Tony and Ziva. It managed to, yes, do very simple plots, which is Morris and Furuji's wedding, as well as the undercover op, but it still managed to be interesting. This one, there are twists that I did not see coming, and I am definitely going to talk about those. But, to me, this just wasn't an interesting episode. I don't know. I think, and this was just kind of the one episode where I'm like, this is really losing me. And, I'm not saying it's a terrible episode. It's a good one. I just don't think it was put together well. Or I feel like there are some pieces that they needed to add in to make this entertaining. And it was, I don't know. This was probably the one episode of this series I was like, oh, okay, I wish they did more of this. Okay. But it's not a bad episode. It's not, because there are a lot of good stuff and moments in here. So, anyways, eventually, what happens after that, things kind of become a little bit awkward with Tony and Ziva, because after they kissed on the yacht, after the whole wedding op in the last episode, they kind of were like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Because Furuji caught them kissing on the yacht. And things are kind of awkward between Tony and Ziva, and I still think they're still in love with each other. They obviously are, because why would you just kiss on a yacht for no reason, and when you guys have tried to be co-parenting, and not trying to be together after 4 or 5 years. They're still in love with each other. They're just... Yeah, I don't know. It just proves even more that they're still in love with each other, and it just proves that possibly they'll get back together. I don't know if it'll be after this season or what, or after a couple of seasons. I don't know how many seasons they're going to make of this show, but yeah. So, eventually, what happens, Tony and Ziva sneakily put the 9.4 chip into the prison, and they get inside, and Claudette and Boris, they create a new identity for Ziva, so that way she can be inside the prison, just for that one day. And that name is Irma Stroff. I don't know why I put that in my notes, because that doesn't... I mean, the name of her identity. Because the name of the identities doesn't really matter in the rest of this episode. But, wouldn't you know, one particular person is in the prison. And who is that, you say? Martin. That's not the only thing. Guess what else is in the prison? The stolen raining fire drone. The drone that, we'll say Henry stole. Getting there. I'm getting there. And after Tony breaks Jonah out... Oh yeah, by the way, this is a spoiler series. It's a massive spoiler series. Massive spoiler series. If you do not want to hear this, get off this fucking video. Okay? Still here? Okay. After Tony breaks Jonah out of the prison, we find out who the mastermind behind all of this is. Who framed Tony and Ziva. And it's not Henry. It's Jonah. Henry's boss. Jonah, who has been really good friends with Tony. And Jonah was in the first episode. I just didn't talk about it because I didn't think it wouldn't matter. Obviously it does. But Jonah framed Tony. And he stole the raining fire drone. So that way it could be in the prison. I'm going to take a little sip of this. I know I usually wait until the rest of these videos to do that, but just let that sink in. Let that sink in. Has it sunken in? I was shocked when I found all of this. I'm like, I liked Henry. And Henry obviously has to have been a really good friend to Tony and Ziva if he hosted Tali's birthday party. Obviously. So, like, in my head, I was thinking, there's no way Henry could have possibly framed Tony and Ziva. But then, NCIS does this. It really does do that. And I'm like, well, I guess you're a bad guy. He wasn't. My gut was correct. My gut was correct. My fucking gut was correct. But my gut was not right about one person. I don't know. I legit thought it would have been Sophie. I legit thought it would have been Sophie. Here's why. Sophie is the nanny. So she and Tali are in the safe house. And we haven't really seen much of Sophie in the show. So, like, in my head, I'm thinking, obviously, it's gotta be the person that we don't see much. And I was correct about that one part. I was correct, because we haven't really seen Jonah that much in the show. But man, was not correct about that. I legit thought it was going to be Sophie. And, like, she has Tali in her clutches, so, like, obviously, that will be really good with her just, nope. So, I don't know. Just watch it. We're gonna get like maybe a twist with Sophie, and I got all this. Yeah, we'll see. So because of that, he has the guards knock down Tony. They don't really knock down Ziva. I don't know why, because she is a fucking ex-Mossad agent. She was trained to be an assassin. So, like, sure, knock down the person that could literally fight you. Okay. They just kind of... Yeah. So, and they put them in a cell. But here's the thing. When they had found out about Jonah being, the mastermind, Tony did have an earpiece at that point, and he told Claudette a cipher, and that cipher was snatch our rat food. What that would have been is there would have been a key word. Snatch would have been like 6 letters. R would be 3 letters. Food would be 4 letters. And rat would be an acronym. And like, I think I had put it in there. Did I not put it in there? Oh. But, okay. And the rat, okay, sorry, I'm going way off my notes here. Sorry, my friends. I'm like, wait, what's happening? Oh, okay, I should have said that part later. Okay. But, well, you know what? I'll just say it right now. Oh, no, I won't. I'll say what the RAT was later. And after Tony and Ziva get put into a cell, you won't believe what happens next. Martin and Jonah both end up getting the 9.4 chip. So now they are in the clutches of 9.4, making this even more disastrous. And what happens after Jonah gets 9.4, he then tells Martin to find a way to get to Tali. And Martin doesn't really want to. She doesn't really want to harm Tali. Not like she's harmed Tony and Ziva, but okay. She doesn't really want to harm Tali for whatever reason. I'm not exactly too sure. But because Jonah is her boss, she just kind of shrugs and says, fine. We'll get to her, even though I don't want to. So, there's that. And then there's also this other sequence that I should probably talk about. There is this scene where, holy crap, I've been doing this for 21 minutes now. There's also this one other scene where we cut to a flashback way back in July of 2020. Tony and Ziva are in a cell, and they're just thinking. They're just thinking to each other, and they're talking to each other. And Tony then remembers of a flashback where we cut back to July 2020. In this moment, Tony and Ziva went to couples therapy with Ziva's therapist, Dr. Lang. And Dr. Lang, then, Dr. Lang, played by Terrence Maynard, he then tells Tony and Ziva, and the other couples that are in couples therapy on that day, saying to respond, to finish a sentence and tell them to each other. And that sentence is, "You hurt me when." So Ziva starts off and says that Tony hurts her when he's not present, when he's not listening, and when he's not willing to make a wisecrack. Especially when Tolly's not around, because Tolly's his best audience. And then we get to Tony. And Tony's sentence is, nothing really hurts him when Ziva's around him. To Tony, Ziva has been through so much. Having to deal with essentially her betrayal from Assad's allegiance when she murdered her own brother in order to save Gibbs. Having to go through and fake her death to save her daughter, and having to deal with coming back and reuniting with them. To Tony, she's gone through so much. And to Tony, he just loves that she is resilient and whatnot. And Tony knows that Ziva's not perfect, but he just loves how pretty much badass Ziva can be. But Dr. Lang overheard this. and heard this whole thing. He heard this whole thing that Tony told her, saying that he just loves that Ziva's dead honest, and just love it. And he told Dr. Lang, saying that... Oh, no, and Dr. Lang told Tony, after the whole couples therapy appointment, Dr. Lang told Tony to start being honest. Because there has to be moments where he gets hurt whenever Steve is around him. And if he isn't, then it's not a relationship. It's a performance. And some relationships grow, but performances must end. And Tony, he heard that, and he just said something along the lines of, "You're not charging me for this, aren't you?" Because they were talking about it after, at the nighttime when he was visiting Tony and Ziva before Ziva went to bed. And I think knowing this part too really does give you some clarity, answers as to why potentially they haven't started the wedding. Because this couples therapy was after they got proposed. So it's just kind of weird. It's very weird. It makes you think that maybe Tony did listen to Dr. Lang, and that he did hear his thoughts and he did hear his opinions, and was thinking, maybe he's right. Maybe I should end this. But then that scene on the yacht in the last episode just makes you think, wait, they're still in love with each other. So it does, I think, give us some clarity and some finality as to why they haven't gone married. But what's interesting too is that at that night, Ziva had asked Tony, saying, "What did Dr. Lang tell you?" And Tony just responded with, "Not a whole lot." Tony lied to Ziva. So it's either A, Tony did hear what Dr. Lang said, and he decided to break up with her, or B, Ziva found out that Tony lied to her, and she just didn't feel like she wanted to continue. It's one of those two things. But yeah. So I think we found some clarity as to that whole scenario. But yeah. Anyways, going back to the rap thing after that, so they figure out how to get Tony and Ziva out of the prison without 9.4. And at this point, they don't know that Jonah and Martin have 9.4. They just don't have it. To them, they still think 9.4 is still in the security. So, and obviously it's not. So, So what they decide to do is they use the cipher that Tony gave her, which was snatch our rat food. Snatch being 6 letters, R being 3 letters, food being 4 letters, and rat being an acronym. And rat is remove all tags. And what that means is Claudette uses the acronym and quite literally removes all the tags that are used in that place, in that system, at the prison. So Claudette removes all of the names and whatnot at the prison, and hopes to potentially get Tony and Ziva out of the prison easily. So once Tony and Ziva get out of their cells, they figure out that maybe we should do one thing, even if it's not something we particularly like to do. Call Henry. In fact, Tony came up with it, and Ziva quite literally said to him, Tony, have you trust your instincts at all? And Tony said, lately, not so much. But Tony does. Ziva does. So Ziva's like, just call Henry. So Tony does. So he calls Henry, and what do you know? Henry says yes. Another thing I should probably get to as well. We also met a new character in this episode. The character is Dejan Lazar. Hold on. Dejan Lazar. Find who plays him. Who plays really? Hold on. Now I have to go through IMDb because it doesn't want to cooperate. Dejan Lazar, played by Velibor Topic. So Dejan Lazar, played by Velibor Topic. So Jonah and Martin decide to break out a prisoner from an inmate from the prison, Dejan Lazar. So that way they can use him to use 9.4, which they have, and hack into the stolen raining fire drone that is currently at the prison. So when they do, and Dejan says, why? Why should I do that? And Jonah literally says, I know all about your past. And I could use that against you. And that past is that he had worked with Aaron Graves illegally because it helped create munitions that had set an attack in Sudan. Shit. What the fuck? I can't talk. So, and he says, I know all about that I know all about that attack, all about the attack in Sudan that you and Aaron Graves did. I know that you didn't like doing it because that meant your son knew what you do, which is to create munitions to pretty much start wars. And I can use that against you if you do not help me. So Dejan literally just says, fine, whatever. So, yeah. And then eventually, Henry helps break Tony and Ziva out of the prison. But, so eventually, yeah, Henry does break out Tony and Ziva from the prison. They have a whole huge fight sequence with some of the inmates. So yeah. And then, after that, Claudette decides to call Tony and Ziva and let them know that they got a recording from Tolly. And that recording pretty much showed that Tolly said that there are quote-unquote strange men in the safe house in which her and Sophie are in. And those those strange men are probably people, or unlikely people, that Martin hired to get to Tolly. And the last thing that happened in this episode that will set the course to the next episode. Again, these are reasonings why I say that these videos will have massive spoilers, because, yeah. And that is, once Tony and Ziva get out of the prison, and once they go out, when you know, Martin and Jonah and Asian catch them and Henry. And what happens as Henry tells Tony and Ziva to drive off and save Tolly, Jonah kills Henry. Henry is stabbed, and then he is shot. Henry's now dead. And that's the end of the episode. So that was Season 1, Episode 5. To be determined. Yeah, I'm just gonna say this. I wasn't a fan of this episode. I really wasn't. It's just an episode that I thought was okay. I wish this episode... I wish they did more with this episode, because I feel like the idea and the plot and the twists are good. They have a lot of stuff going in for them. But, like, this episode just wasn't the best, in my opinion. I don't know. This is the one episode so far that I just am like, I wish they did a lot of this shit differently, because it's just, yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. That's probably just me. I'm probably just the asshole who just didn't like everything in this episode. But oh well. Well, not everything, because I like the twists, and I liked that Dr. Lang stuff. But, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who didn't like this episode as much as I wanted to. But oh well. I'm trying to get to Lilo and Stitch. I'm trying, guys. I am absolutely trying. I just have so much shit on my plate this week. Yeah. Just, yeah. Anyways. So, there's that. I can't believe we're halfway done with this season. Because it said that this season is going to be 10 episodes. That's how long this season is going to be. And this was episode 5. I think because of the first week, with the first week dropping 3 episodes, I think that's what's throwing me off. Because I still feel like this is episode 3. But, like, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows at this point? But yeah, so join me next time. We'll be discussing episode 6. But first, I should probably get to ZIVA-ISM of the review, shall I? So let's us do that. ZIVA-ISMs. No, not ZIVA-ISMs. God damn it. ZIVA. What the fuck? I can't type. NCIS. ZIVA-ISM. There we go. Okay, let's see here. We are gonna do... Yeah, that's another thing. We still haven't gotten a ZIVA-ISM in the show. When are we going to get one? We are gonna do... Let's do... Okay, this one. Let's do this one. Ziva says, "We canvassed the area. No one is talking. There is a Smurf war." Tony responds, "Turf war." Ziva says again, "Yes, between 2 rival gangs." That's our ZIVA-ISM of the review. But yeah. So, I hope you like this review, and yeah, we'll be back for episode 6 next week. Yeah, see ya.